Hey, we are live. I just turned on my microphone. This is Draw Juice, and I'm here with some aggressively juicy content for you tonight, hoping to put it into overdrive for your art world, your art skills, and yes, let me switch over here to say hi to some people here. Anybody there? I see Nick. I see Mamika. It's good. How's the music? Doing okay? I'll bring that music up just a little bit. Hey, there's Zoran. What's up, Zoran? Mamika, how are you? What's going on, people? I'm here, you were here. That's the most important thing. I'm gonna switch it over here. Let me know how you guys are doing. What's new? I missed you guys last week. But I'm back in the saddle. I hope you guys are well. I'm doing good. I had my 10,000 steps today, and I'm ready to rock. We got some fun stuff to do, some critiques, and we'll kick it off with a quote. Hey, Esquilator, what's going on? David Cox, what's going on? And wife Teresa. Hi, Teresa and David. Hi, Nick. Yes, life is good. I'm grateful because life is good. Everyone's okay here. Are you guys okay? I'm hoping so. I'm going to kick it off with a little quote here. Every artist was first an amateur. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Well, it's comforting, right? Everybody started out as a rank amateur, a beginner, a loser, terrible at drawing. Okay. But everybody was having fun, right? We were all kids, and we were just drawing and being creative with crayons and colors. And we need to bring some of that excitement back, right? Connect to the heart again as we sharpen our skills and grow as artists. We also want to deepen kind of that connection to emotion, to the heart, even to the transcendent, if you're wired that way. If you're not, it could be just to connect to your highest good, right? Or even just to connect it to say something, some emotion, right? Some value that you want to express, or some dream or some event that happened to you. You want to be able to put it down on paper, or just to express beauty. I remember in college, I drew a portrait for the teacher. I turned in the homework, and I had like a triangular composition. So it was this person in a triangle. And he goes, "Why did you do that?" "What, I thought it looked cool." And he goes, "No." He said, "You don't need to, I forget exactly what he said, but he said, sometimes just the thing itself is good enough. And then we went outside. He said, "See that lady sitting out there? That's beautiful, just like that." And I was kind of perplexed because I thought I did something cool, but he didn't like that. He didn't like that I did it just because it was cool, or I wanted it to be cool. So anyway, we were all amateurs, and we're just growing. And so that's hopefully takes some of the pressure off, right? And we're all in different places. And we're all striving towards an ideal. And it's good to have an ideal. Otherwise, why strive, right? So it's okay to have that ideal. It's okay to miss the mark and just keep striving. What else have we got to do, right? Oh yeah, I know I'm talking. I know I'm making sense to somebody out there. All right, we're gonna jump into this. Ooh, that's not what I want. That was from a time or two ago. We're gonna do kind of a visualization thing today. Let me see if I turn this off. Now what I've got set up here is some helps. We're gonna creatively visualize, and we're gonna riff off of something. So I have a skull, a plain head, a head, and a skull with skin and cartilage and stuff wrapped around it. And we're gonna kind of use this to launch ourselves off of, because oftentimes we don't know what to draw and we can't make something up, right? It's just too hard. And so this is a little exercise that's going to help us to be able to start. It's like a start, it's a helper. And I'm going to just, ghost this thing back so I can barely see it, and then start drawing on top and making some stuff up. Okay. This came from, got this idea from Bobby Chu. So I don't know if you guys know Bobby Chu, but he's a great art teacher, and so I thought we would do this as well here. So there we have this line, and so I'm just going to kind of just start to visualize some stuff, and I can come up with male, female, I can come up with a character, and I'll just start kind of realistic, and then we'll branch out. Maybe we'll get a little more creative as we get warmed up, as we get a little more confident. And one of the funnest things is to be able to do art and be creative. And one of the things that I've always loved about art is that it is creative and making things up, making it unique, having it be your voice, and so that's not easy, right? It's doable, but it's not easy. You have to practice being creative. So this is one way to do that, right? Because oftentimes it's a little bit just too much to kind of make something up out of thin air. And so we need a little help. So I've got my little reference over here, right? I've got my values. I've got some plaster cast stuff down here to help out a little bit. And so I'm not just left with the white page, the intimidating white page. I've got a little help. What do you guys think? I know that staring at the blank page can be very intimidating, and doing a bad drawing can be the worst part about it, right? You can't let people see you're human. I know that feeling. and so we cover up. We kind of don't want to do it. We don't want to fail, so we don't do it, right? So hopefully this is gonna help somebody out there. So you just kind of do the best that you can, right? And if you need to, you can look, you can kind of refer to the reference if you need to. But it's often like just almost like a dream, right? The dream is so real, but when you wake up, it's gone, okay? And it's hard to get it back because it's just so so temporal, right? It's so fleeting. And that's it's like you can have a vision come across the screen of your mind, the stage of your mind, and it's just really hard to hold it there and keep it there long enough to draw. So that's what this little grayed out ghosted image is. It's like a vision in our mind, and it's just we're using Photoshop to help it stay there a little bit longer, right? And that's what's so fun about this exercise. And it kind of provides a structure, like an armature for us to springboard off of, so to speak. And then I can do different lighting scenarios too. So for this one, I'm going to have a basic lighting. I was going to have my lighting chart with me, but I didn't set that up with the 6 basic lighting. And you can do that too. So you can introduce some interesting dark and lights, different shadow and light patterns. Right, so there's a dude. In high school, Zoran says, I created and drew comics on boring class of Marxism and sociology. My peers were enthusiastic and interested to see every table. Sketchbook number 2. Black humor mixed with World War II and AC/DC lyrics. Ooh, cool. That does sound very interesting. You were a real rebel, sounds like. You must have been a handful. Skeletor, how do you hold a digital pencil? Can you hold it like a normal pencil? Yeah. Like this. I hold it like this. Can you see that? It's hard to hold it like I would with charcoal with an overhand grip. It doesn't really work well. That works better on the iPad. You can do that. And that's why I'm liking the iPad a lot more than Photoshop right now. Because you could do that. And you can get some nice thick, juicy, buttery strokes. The Skeletor, also I did learn the SRO head, but I have no idea how to use it. Yeah. So you can kind of, you can use a skull, you can use a plane head, right? Like we can use a plane head. This is kind of like a simplified Asaro head. And we can go with our next one. So what if we made this one a female? right? Females are going to have like a smaller jaw, right? The squareness of the jaw, right? Or not so much is going to be one of the things that makes it differentiate between a male and female. Let's see here. I'll give it some rounder eyebrows. You know, more curves than angles for women. So this is fun, you know. Give her a little beauty mark right there. Hey Sampico, what's happening? Welcome. Let's see here. Right, so I give her kind of more of a curved forehead than an angular one. So again, less angles, more curves for women. Maybe a little bit smaller features, bigger eyes, but maybe smaller ears. And again, if you have trouble with ears, just memorize it. But it's like a C with a letter Y inside. And then we got to do like some kind of haircut, right? Maybe have some short hair. Right, so you can practice all kinds of stuff. Features of the head, right? Nose, eyes, ears, mouth, how they connect, their proportion. And then you can do head-neck connection, right? Like practice, how do you connect that jaw to the top of the neck, right? How does that work? And then your haircuts, right? Your hairstyles. And figure that out. Remember, hair is just like a shape. You get that characteristic shape, and then you fill in your darks. You know, just fill it in. Get that first. Make sure it reads like hair. And then one thing about hair that I kind of messed up right here is that hair wraps around a head, right? The head's round, so I can have that highlight go around like that. And that's, I really screwed that up, but that'll look better. So that highlight wraps around a sphere, you know, essentially. The cranial mass is like a sphere, right? So you don't need a bunch of different individual hairs like spaghetti, right? You don't need that. You just need a nice shape and a value, just fill it in. And then the highlight that wraps around, that kind of tells the story. And then you can pull out a few different hairs here and there. You know, I'm not going to go big into the hair, but tonight, but you know, a few that cut through the highlight. And like that. All right, let's move to the next one. Let's see. Let's try the let's try this one. Turn this one off. Just a regular head, you know. Like I said, you can use different reference underneath to try and help you, and just try and springboard off of that. So for this, let's try like some Rembrandt lighting, okay? So Rembrandt lighting, that's basically, you know, from the front. You have the light source in the front, 3/4 down, right? So there's your light source, and then it creates a triangular shape, right? So there's a shadow here, eye socket, and the side of the nose. There's a nice triangle right in there. That's characteristic of Rembrandt. So we can sort of bring that in. So let me try to do more of kind of a tonal thing with this, like a block in. Like I would just say, okay, there's my eye socket, side plane of the nose. I'm really going to turn down my flow here so I don't get too out of control here. Make a real big brush, get those big strokes. Right cheek. This is the way I really like to sort of draw and paint at the same time. By blocking in value, not so much line. Because I'm a tone guy. So let's see, from the side, this would come off like that. It would sort of circumscribe that front of the cheek. And then the side plane of the cheek is going to come, and they're going to touch. And they're going to have a beautiful meeting. This music is making me feel kind of beautiful. Okay. Whatever. You guys feeling beautiful out there? Let me know. So, you know, I'm sneaking up on it. It's like I'm painting out of the gray. And instead of making a really black mark, you know, if I suddenly make a black mark, I'm going to lose, you know, that contrast is going to, it's almost like a ripple on a clear, glassy pond surface. You know, you make a dark move like that, and then your vision is sort of obliterated. So if you sneak up on it like it's developing out of the fog, you know, that's kind of, it's pleasing, it's aesthetic way to work, but it also kind of keeps your vision a little bit intact, if you can say that. So let's see. Thinking we would have shadow on this side, just completely. So I'll just block that in real big. So that's sort of like my shadow map. See, and then I would kind of go through again, and I can, you know, darken up things. Soften up edges. I'm trying to just think where this would, the cheek would kind of round out right there. There'd be an ear in here, and kind of go ahead and hint at that. Yeah, so if you just want to be a little more creative, you've got to learn to visualize. And you can do it. It just takes some practice and some courage if you're not kind of wired that way and you're afraid to make mistakes. This could be the way for you. Okay, so let's come through with some line here and tighten this up a little bit. Let's make this guy, give him kind of, can play with that nose a little bit. I want to go darker. Sometimes that profile can almost go in like that. It's like it's sunken in instead of going out. It can go in like that and then come back out. What's going on with that? Let's see, how would this be here? You might see right, so then I can refine it a little bit more, go a little bit darker the next pass, right? As I gain more confidence with the drawing, then I can go darker, you know, and kind of see my way through the fog here as it develops. And there'd be a nice hard shadow under that, cast shadow of the nose onto the upper lip, right? Give him some eyebrows here. can do so much with so little, you know. You don't need a total huge amount of detail. You just need some right shapes with some right values, and they carry the bulk of the information, and that informs the drawing, you know. You guys got any questions out there? Thanks, Mimika. It's you can do this for sure. Let's see. And then if I just do my edge pass at some point, and just think about if the light is coming sort of, you know, from the top and a little bit behind this guy. Just think about the direction of the light and the direction of the planes, whether they're facing the light or not. And the less they're facing, the less light they're going to get. And if it's turning slowly away from the light, it's going to be a more round form. And if it's turning quickly, it'll be more chiseled and hard. And maybe there would be a, let me see. I want to do my little edge pass. Let me see. That's too much. My little add water brush. Okay, just get these ones. See, it's a cranial dome, so that it's more sphere-like. So it's going to go slowly away from the light, so it's going to be a soft edge. So I'll just go through and kind of do my edge pass. And then crispen up certain areas, right? And that's gonna say a lot. So let's crispen up one or two areas in terms of edges. Let's see, maybe I'm still here. Right, so I can just give a couple areas that are going to be nice and crisp. So I'm just creeping up on things, right? I'm giving myself a chance. I don't have to make it perfect. I can get there by degrees, you know? You start looking at people, you have a question, how does that shadow work on the side plane of the nose and the cheek? And you just keep looking at people and looking at people until, you know, you understand the planes good enough to draw it on your own. And that takes either, you know, repetition, or it takes, you know, some years. But if you concentrated on it, it wouldn't take years. All right, so there's that. That's fun. Okay, so let's go on to another one. Let's see. What now? We can do different ethnicities. We could start getting into, older people, younger people, fantasy, sci-fi, monsters, right? Let's just do, I don't know, let's try to do a little kid, right? So a little kid is going to be, they're going to have a bigger forehead, and their eyes are going to be a little bit lower and bigger. Right? Everything is going to be a little bit smaller. So I don't have to follow the silhouette or the proportions of the underlying reference, I can make it smaller or bigger. And that's neat. Again, it helps me gives me a base to riff off of, to begin. I can make the neck a lot slimmer because it's younger person. I need a bigger eye. You're allowed to make mistakes. I almost want to play around with the hairstyle. I don't know really what it's going to be, I'm just exploring. If you want someone to look younger, give them bushier, thicker eyebrows. Notice, like Disney characters, they all check out their eyebrows. I feel like the eyes can be bigger, huh? And then you can come in and kind of start to model it, sculpt it a little bit. What kind of lighting could we do with this one? We could do some backlighting. Okay, let's just try to make this one all dark. So the head is in shadow, and then it's going to have a rim light around it. Because this is a mysterious part of the story. We need this character to be in shadow because we don't want the audience to know who it is. We're going to reveal that later. So the first scene, you see the character is, backlit. You just see the silhouette. So all these lighting scenarios, like back, horror, Rembrandt, loop lighting, butterfly lighting, all that stuff has like a psychological element to it that you can use to tell the story, to bring some interest to your portraits. Like if you're doing, portraits, you're doing storyboards, you're doing color keys for a film. Telling the story is the thing, right? Okay, that's pretty backlit. I should probably give it some background too, so that we'll be able to see that rim light a little bit better. Okay, let me come through, mess around with the edges a little bit. And let's do the highlight. Let's get it really bright. And then I could kind of introduce some darks inside here, just to give a hint of form. Right, so it's a very narrow value range, right, in the shadows. Okay, let's move on to another one. Let's do something kind of, I don't know, a little more crazy. What could we do? How about just really exaggerated? Go out like that. Okay. Just playing around, having fun. You gotta play. Make some experimental marks, you know, and then erase them if they don't work, or keep them if they do. Right? See how I got there? I didn't get there the first time. But I kind of like that silhouette, you know, this against that. That's cool. Now what can we do? And I'm thinking of my skulls. I don't have any skulls with me, but just some reference like that. You know, how would that bone look, you know? Where's the eye socket? So anatomy kind of can help too. And you can have some reference alongside your drawing to help you with that, right? Right, if I kind of know how the jaw goes, the tooth cylinder, you know, the back of the jaw, the muscle over top, right, the masseter muscle right there. It all kind of comes together. Maybe I can give him a bigger forehead. This guy's scary. A buff bulk guy. It's kind of cool. All right, then just kind of give it some realistic finishing so that we know it's an ear. And so I just kind of go back to what I know about, you know, what an ear really looks like. A C with the letter Y inside. So just enough so people know what it is. So it's part inspiration, part reacting, part, you know, thinking about actual anatomy, part inspiration, just making marks and seeing, you know, where they go, what they do. Have you ever seen those skulls that they found that are bigger than human skulls? They have this oblong quality to them. I forget where they found them. Anybody know? Das. That's a goblin. Yeah. Right, does he need a big neck like that? Maybe. What kind of lighting could we do? We could do up lighting, right? So the light source is down here. Coming from here. Oh yeah. Let me turn. Where's this guy? Am I done detailing? I don't know. Maybe he has some. Ooh. He needs more. He needs some teeth. I don't know. But I think he's got some extra folds on his forehead. Anyway, so what are we at? We're at 7:55. Maybe we can stop this and we can go into a couple of the critiques, or I can try just to imply some lighting here, just to see. You know, we would have a shadow from the nose into the eye socket. And then we would have the brow catching the light, and then behind that wouldn't catch the light. So everything's kind of, we're not used to seeing things like this. But if you know a little bit about lighting, and just think it through, I think that's going to be dark. He's starting to look like he's lit from below a little bit. See, the chin would get the light, then the top of the chin would be there, lower lip would be in light. So anyway, you kind of get the picture, right? And you can start to create with a little practice. You'll get better and better. Trust me. I've been to, you know, I started out, I was an amateur, right? And my drawings were bad. I couldn't create anything. But then I started learning some basic art fundamentals, you know? And once you know the basics, it's not that hard to wrangle them such that you're creating things that you never thought you could. Okay, let's just leave this and we'll get to the critique part. Okay, let's start with this one. Okay, we can leave this there. All right, Teresa. I'm gonna take this out right now. Okay, so we have a nice shape here, nice parts. The eyes look really clear. Nice shapes. The neck looks good. Shape of the face looks good. But the parts look like parts and they look disconnected, like the eyes, nose, mouth are not really connected. And we have some tone problems too, some tonal structure stuff. So if I squint down, right, it looks like you're a little bit afraid of the dark. You're afraid to go too dark, and that's one of the things that beginners kind of have a problem with, is going dark enough. And so there's kind of a lack of commitment to the darks. Now you could I'm just going to flip this so it's easier to draw on for me. You could have an opposite problem, and it's hard for you to go light, and so you're always too dark. That's another problem you could run into. But so if I just darken things up and I squint and compare and think about constructing things, and the simple forms and how the light is revealing those things. The eye socket, side plane of the nose, right? Side plane of the cheek, lower lid, upper lid. And thinking of things in very simple terms, and squinting and comparing. You're going to get more bang for your buck. Right, if I squint down, all this stuff is dark. And I want to keep it kind of indistinct at first, and just move the shapes around, or easily movable, because they're not locked down yet. But if I see something really definite, I'll lock it down. Like the edge of that cheek against the hair is very crisp, and so I can see that, so I'll go for it, you know. That makes sense. I do what I can see. And then, leave the things I can't figure out till later, and hopefully I'll be able to figure them out. So in that left eye socket, it's darker. It's not revealing the sclera and too much of the pupil. So you want to be careful. If you don't see it, don't draw it. See, in that eye, if I squint down, it's all dark. It's like a dark shape that's like that, with an eyebrow over the top. That's what it looks like to me, kind of this oval when I squint down. So this is all part of, drawing, is getting your values right and getting the shapes right. Richard Schmidt, the famous painter who just died not long ago, in his book, Everything I Know About Painting, he talked about, get your shapes, your values, and your edges right, and your painting, your drawing will come together. Now this is Rembrandt Lighting, because there's that triangle on the left cheek. And then there's a little bit of light on that right cheek, just a little bit. Okay, so now let's get a little bit more definite about it. Like, I'll adjust some of the edges, get them soft, and then come in, and where I need to, broaden my value range a little bit, expand the value range. So like how come I can't? So the eyebrow, right? That's dark. There's an occlusion shadow right there where the upper lid meets the superior border of the eye socket. That's dark in there. Core shadow. And all this stuff kind of merges together. And then you get a really nice tight line, compression right there of that lid coming. So I always just sneak up on things and gently kind of develop them. So, one thing you can do is, if you don't see it, don't draw it, right? When you squint and it goes away. But if you're not sure what it is, then you can fall back on your anatomy or your knowledge about what an eye looks like. And you can put that in there. So if you've done studies, using Charles Barg, or cast drawing, or observational drawing, you can use that to fortify your drawing, to make it look better. Where, the photo can only go so far. Maybe you can make it better, right? You can add something into it that wasn't there. So you've got to be doing your studies, right? Your eye studies, your nose studies, mouth studies, planar head studies. All right, so I'm just kind of coming in, get a little reflection, and then make sure you make it really small. Step away and see if it holds. You can kind of, that helps anyway, to see it small. If it works small, it's going to work big. Let's see, then we'll go to the other side here. Kind of make sense of this. Draw back into this here. So your eyes were a little bit out of alignment. See? If I draw up a horizontal there, they're kind of, one's a little bit lower, and this one's going this way, and this one's kind of at a different attitude, different angles. So we can kind of try to fix that. Yeah, so you have kind of a value problem and an edge problem, because you really didn't have many hard and soft edges except for against the chin right there. But everything in here was really a little too soft, and you need to bring a little structure into that. And I'm not drawing a bunch of hair for the eyebrow, but more of a shape again. Did a nice job on the hair though. I really like that. Great job on that. I'll just go a little bit further on this, not too much. Try to get that mouth in just a little bit. You did a nice job keeping it real, the essential information on the mouth. And that was a really good move. That lower lip almost just disappears, huh? So it's getting there, you know. It takes some time, takes some work. These areas are really hard, like in the shadows next to the alar facial groove or the wing of the nose. That's, you know, it's an occlusion shadow and it's real murky. It's like, what is back there? So you got to be real kind of careful not to get too dark and overstate it to where it's attracting attention, you know, but you want it to kind of be a supporting piece of information that informs the form of the nose, right? And so just enough to let us know what it is, but not too much that we're looking into the shadows and noticing it. Okay, so let's maybe do one more. You know, it's really nice when you have one or a few really crisp edges against some soft transitions like the cheek. You know, so you have this jaw against the neck that's really, really crisp. And then it makes those softer ones extra soft when you do that. And it's really nice. I don't know. Try it, because it really works. Especially on portraits. You know, so the hard edge, throw a few hard edges in there, and it'll make your soft edges look really beautiful, really soft. And so these sort of beauty portrait things, you know, where you don't think there's going to be these hard edges, find a few areas where you can throw them in, and that'll make the nice cheeks look really nice and round and all that kind of stuff. Okay, great job. Thank you for submitting that, Teresa. All right, we're gonna go to, who's next here? This one? What else we got? Okay, this will be the last one. Okay, Maria, Looks like some proportion stuff, right? Your head's a little bit stretched horizontally. So I don't know if that's the way that you took the photo. Let me check the chat here. Yeah, Soap says sometimes the photos are edited and makes them hard to draw on because they're in and out of focus. It could be the lens that they're using, you know, a very shallow depth of field. So you need to find good reference, definitely. Something that has good value range. It's not washed out and it's not too dark. Washed out means it's too light and there's not enough values there for you to draw with. And it needs to be in focus. It has to have enough resolution. Soap says, should I draw a portrait more realistically? Like try to copy the line reference or stylization if I'm a beginner? If you're a beginner, you should study your values, your planes, and think about how to build the drawing. Not necessarily copy the surface detail, but that's part of it. That's rendering, you know, the lighting, making it look real, you know, the details and textures. But, you know, think about your lighting, your value, your form, your planes. And then when you got those pretty good, you can go into details and textures like wrinkles, pores in the skin, hair details. So I would kind of start like that. And yeah, it's okay to copy and understand what it is you're drawing. It's necessary to do that. And then, you know, everybody does that. You can copy from photo reference. You can copy some masterworks as well, like Sargent, Velasquez, people like that, Dean Cornwell, famous illustrators, N.C. Wyeth, and do some master studies like that. So this looks great, this part. So your rendering is really good. That's that surface detail that I was just talking about. The rendering looks great. The lighting looks great. The details look great. But it's the proportion is kind of where you're struggling. And you need to measure more. So, you know, if I'm measuring this, I could just take a simple line and do a comparative measurement of the height to the width and see, you know, that it's a bit taller than it is wide. Okay, so that's a comparative measurement of height to width, and you can do that all throughout. You can compare the eye, the width of the eye to the width of the nose to the width of the mouth. Take one thing and make it a standard. So here we've got a vertical standard unit, and we're comparing, using that to compare how wide it is. So if we, you know, take that and we measure it on your drawing. So we measure it first on the photo, and then we take that and then measure it on our drawing. And you can see that your drawing is a bit wide. So I don't know, maybe I can do a quick fix here. Like I can cut this out, and then let's see if I can just do that, right? That can kind of help. So I'm just looking where the back of the hair cuts that line and just try to make it echo that. What is going on here, folks? then just continue on. Right, so that can help. And then right here, you can see the structure, right? The side plane. Let's make it more simple. Right, this is where your planar head knowledge comes in. Your studies of, the fronts and sides and tops of something, and really understanding how to do that. And then finding it, putting it into the drawing, because yours is stretching this way a little bit. It's drifting. And giving it you've kind of got that. You've got nice structure in there, but it's a little bit out of proportion. The mouth looks great. The nose looks great. The shading looks real good. Looking into the nose and seeing the bounce light in there, the reflected light, you need to compare your darks to your lights, not just darks to other darks, because it's getting too light in there. Right? If I sample that, it's just as light as something over here. It's in the shadows on the reference. Look where it is. Okay, even the bounce light, it's darker. So I need to make that darker. And so it reads as a shadow. It stays in the shadow family. Right? That's where your value work comes in. And so when your value work gets together with your planar work, and you understand how to describe the form and space with value, then you're going to be really advancing, and your drawings are going to have kind of a believability and a power, that they didn't have before. See, when I squint, this eye is totally dark. There's not all that detail that you put in there. Just squint and compare. So, anyway, looking good. Again, finding places where the edges are really crisp, like right there against the forehead. That'll help. So yeah. See the mouth, see how dark it is? It's down around 75%. And yours, it's part of the light family. It's not, right? It's recessed back behind the lips. So we want to make sure to push it back in space, Just think of it like a shape, following the laws of light. And the lips too, they're about 50% gray. So we want to darken it down a little bit. Let's see. So you can have your value scale next to you when you're drawing, right here. Have that 5 value scale and then match the values, like click on here and see where that value is and say, well, what value is that on my value scale? It's kind of like a value number 2, so then you could paint that value number 2 in areas that that would be appropriate, you know? I got that line in there that I drew. Anyway, see all that information in the neck? You're overemphasizing the values instead of squinting and comparing and saying, that's in the shadows. And so I don't need to put excess value in there and subsequently excess form. You know, it's not there. You don't need it. Okay, so all right, so guys, I think we're gonna wrap it up. Even the ear here is in the shadows, right? So just be careful. Squint and compare. Don't put too much detail. You know, it could be a lot simpler. Just try to be more simple. Don't try to be so complex. And I think that's gonna pay off. For some reason, the simpler, the better in much of drawing and painting. Don't ask me why, but it seems to work out that way, with the illusion of, you know, getting the illusion going on a flat piece of paper. Simpler, simple shapes, simple value, even simple color. And then you can put the details and textures. You can go crazy on those after you've got a nice setup. Okay, I'm gonna stop there. All right, that was fun. I hope that was fun for you guys. It was fun for me. You know, make sure you pass by the group over on Facebook and join the group. There are over 3,000 students there, and we're doing challenges. We're drawing hands. We're drawing heads. We're doing landscapes. We're doing still life. So here's the group. So it's Mastering the Art of the Portrait over on Facebook. It's fun and encouraging. Lots of good stuff. We got beginners, we got intermediate, we got advanced folks, right? And then you can come over to Draw Juice too, and you know, you can study with me. I've got several courses. I've got the basic boot camp, which is just lessons. I have a mentorship, and then I have a VIP portrait mentorship. So, you know, check that out. I got a hair drawing course, how to be creative. I've got my book, Discovering the Art of the Portrait. That's kind of my life story, living in China, and a bunch of charcoal portraits with some step-by-step instruction. And so all that's there. I'd love to help you out. And it's been great hanging with you guys tonight. And we will see you next week. Hopefully we'll see you in the Facebook group. And I'm out. All right.